Hey YouTube, today we're going to try something a little different and premiere our first woodworking video here on Lath. We're going to start with turning a wooden mallet on the lathe. So if you're interested in how I turn this into this, stay tuned.
Welcome to my life.
I'm going to try to start all these woodworking videos out with a sketch and an explanation of how I came up with my cut list. For the handle, I want it to turn out being about 1 3/8 in diameter and 11.5 inches long. To get that, I'm going to glue together a piece of stock that's 12 inches by 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. I'll cut 2 oak 1x2s into 12-inch sections and then glue them together. For the head of the mallet, I want it to turn out being 3 1/4 inches in diameter by about 6.5 inches long. To do that, I'm going to glue a piece of stock together that's 7 inches by approximately 3.5 by 3.5. To get that, I'm going to cut 7 pieces of poplar 1x4, 7 inches long. So for the handle, I got the 2 pieces of oak here out of the scrap bin, and we're just going to measure out 12 inches, and then we'll throw them on the miter saw and cut them up. And for the actual mallet itself, I had to go buy a piece of poplar, and we're just going to mark out 7-inch lengths, and I need 5 of them to glue it together and get the minimum of 3.5 by 3.5 that I wanted. So I'm just going to mark out marks every 7 inches, and then we'll cut it out and glue it together. So now they're both glued up. We'll come back tomorrow, take the clamps off and put them on the lathe and finish the process. So it's all dry. You can see I put this wax paper under it. That was just to keep it from sticking to the table while the glue dried overnight. I like to keep a couple pieces out here in the garage to use. Take the clamps off. Now you'll notice when I glued it up yesterday, I didn't really take the time to make the edges straight on either piece. We're going to take that over to the miter saw and straighten that up before we put it on the lathe. So now that we have the edges straightened up here, I just need to find the exact center of both sides of this so that when we chuck it up on the lathe, it's somewhat balanced. So you can see I've already got the center marked on this. All I did was put the ruler up here, measure the width, divide that in half, and so I'll just mark the other side up real quick, and then we will put it on the lathe. So if you're like me and never really used a lathe before, I told you I mocked up that mallet with pine, and it was kind of a struggle to dig into that pine because it kept splintering out. And this poplar is so much easier to control on the lathe, and it didn't really splinter, and it was super easy to smooth out. And I really like the grain in it, so I can't wait to get the handle done. I'll get it put together and put some oil on it to see how this really turns out. I tried to put all this dark grain on one side, so you would really just have a a dark effect on one side and a light on the other, and I really like it so far. So we'll see when we get some oil on there how that turns out. But for now, let's get this off and get the handle on there and start turning it. So to attach the head of the mallet to the handle, we need that 1 3/8 hole right through the middle. And this is round, and I don't have a drill press, so to hold it still, I've got a couple oak blocks out of my scrap, and I'm just going to clamp one each end, and I'm going to sit on the table, and it'll make it a lot easier to work with. So when we put this together, I need to put a wedge in the handle to keep it tight in the mallet. So I'm going to take this and put it in my vise and try to cut a straight line, and I'm going to try to cut it about 1 inch deep, and then I'll cut an oak wedge so that when we put the handle through the mallet, we can put the wedge in there, hammer it in, covered with glue, and let it dry up, and that should keep the handle nice and tight. Alright, so I got all the pieces. I got the little wedge I made in the handle and the mallet. So now let's see if I can get this in the vise, and we'll get this glued together. You can see the two here. You got the original and then the new one. And well, I guess the battery ran out as soon as I got the oil poured on the mallet. I intended to walk you guys through that process, but it's pretty simple. You just follow the directions on the can, but that you rub it on and you wait 5 minutes and then you buff it back out. But we'll take a look at the finished product here. So you can see the final product, and you can see the mock-up. I didn't oil it, and then you can see all the pretty grain and patterns that we put in this one. So if you enjoyed today's video and you're interested to see what I do next, please like and subscribe, and make sure you turn on your alerts. Thanks for watching.
help me out and like and subscribe to my channel, Shots Life, on YouTube.